Invincible Season 3. What a season, man. What a goddamn season. It had its highs, it had its lows, but it was an overall great season nevertheless. But, comparison to all the episodes in the show, let's see what episodes actually carried the series. Which episode actually did its thing, or which episodes kind of disappoint a little bit. Obviously, of course, I'm going to be comparing each episode, so maybe in a standard of like comparing it to other shows, this episode might be higher than I place it, but since I'm comparing it to each other as well, it's kind of like basically ranking what's the best episode of the season and what's the worst, honestly. But yeah, since I'm doing that for the most part, there's probably some episodes that are going to be like C tier that maybe wouldn't be C tier in the show. So yeah, let's get started with episode 1. Let's talk about it. So episode 1, I think it's honestly, I have not even ranked these before even pressing record. I'm just going off the top of my head, so I'm gonna place it at A tier for now, and then as I talk about episode 1, I'm gonna see if I keep it there. Right, let's do that. Okay, so with episode 1, the lock-in episode, the episode of seeing Mark for the first time after saying and stating that he's gonna enter his training arc, everything's gonna change, he's fully committed as a hero, never losing again, becoming as strong as possible. And for like the first few minutes of the show, it looks like he was living up to that fact, especially after showing the training for his past 90 days. Literally the first thing in the trailer was his improvements. I forgot what it was. This much strength, I forgot. I'll play the clip.
Mark's speed has increased 65%, his endurance 70%, and his strength 138%.
But yeah, he was locked in for the next 90 days. I was like, okay, maybe Mark will go against the fraud allegations. Maybe he will look invincible for once in his life.
You're not supposed to be this tough. You're not supposed to win.
Things change.
But no, I was completely wrong, cause none other than Dr. Seismic, I'm sorry, like that's how bad it was. Like the fact that I even not knowing his name properly is like bad enough. So the fact that this character, this villain, was able to capture everyone and basically put Mark into almost like near death scenario where like he couldn't do nothing about it. Like they all had to be saved by Cecil, and we'll talk about Cecil later on. But the fact that in episode 1, the same exact episode they talked about his improvements and everything, is the exact same episode he still looks like a fraud is insane to me. That's the only part I'm like, what is this? Like, what is going on? Like, honestly, that's the only part in episode 1 that I kind of didn't like. And I was like, what was the point of the whole training arc and hyping that up in the first place? Like, it was really looking bad for Mark. And yes, okay, maybe the doctor, maybe he outsmarted them, but it was really looking like GG's until Cecil arrived with his army force and everything. And speaking of Cecil, I was not expecting the White Room episode in the first goddamn episode.
Did you hear me? Wait, why are we in here again?
Please go.
What are you hiding in here?
The White Room is for my protection.
Protection from what?
From you, Mark.
Like, did you thought that when you saw the trailer that you was gonna see that in the first goddamn episode? Because I didn't think of that at all. Like, honestly, I didn't feel like it was supposed to be like escalating so fast, so quickly, to the fact that it would happen in the first episode. Like, hey, it happened in the first episode, I gotta talk about it in the first episode. And of course, this was the episode that sparks the whole relationship with Mark and Eve. And of course, in Mark fashion, you almost fumbled Eve.
Remember that other you I told you about?
Yeah?
She said she always loved me. She told me I should either ask you out or shut it down forever.
So you're only asking me out now because the other me, who is not me, told you how miserable she was? Do you have feelings for me before you met her?
Eve, I mean,
Of course.
Or are you only here because you feel sorry for me?
But yeah, but truly, this episode was where I almost started to lose faith in the chances of the heroes of Earth going against the Vulturites. Because I was like, if they can't face this doctor and his little minions, if he can't do that, then what are their chances against the Vulturites? How is that going to work out? And of course, we're going to talk more about their chances in episode 7 and episode 8. But hold on until that fact. But in terms of episode 1, my overall opinion, my overall thoughts on this, B tier. B. Yeah, I think I'm going with B for now. And I think why I'm going down to B instead of A, mainly first point is the disappointment of Mark looking like a fraud in episode 1, and 2, even though I liked the White Room scene, I didn't like that it happened in episode 1. I don't know, I felt like it's something that should have happened later on in the season, truthfully. But heck, it might go to A later on depending on how I feel about the other episodes. Oh, my bad. Last thing about episode 1, Nolan and Alan, their relationship, their friendship, Nolan beginning to care about other people other than his family, the beginning of his character development, his character arc. Great stuff right there, great stuff. But it'll still stay at B tier. Now, episode 2, the episode that talked about Cecil's past, right? And the fact that he used to be like Mark, which is crazy to me. They basically had the same mindset in the past.
Director?
They should be in prison or dead.
They're making up for their mistakes.
Then let me express my gratitude.
But here's what you still don't understand. You can be the good guy. Or the guy who saves the world.
But I wish they showed what caused him to transition to become more like his former boss. I think his name was what? Rodflick or something? Or Rodcliffe. I wish they showed that, because I see that he started out like Mark, but what caused him to change? Of course, obviously becoming the boss of the director was probably part of the process, but there gotta be some type of moment. Maybe it was not a particular moment, maybe it happened over time, but I would like to see more of what caused Cecil to change. Another thing that happened in this episode, the Guardians splitting up, which is honestly, it was a big deal at the moment, but as the season went on, I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it honestly didn't change too much of the dynamics. Like, yes, the heroes were split up, but you know, it wasn't like they were one big happy family to begin with, right? Like, all the characters that were close together stick together, and basically they just got rid of their associates, their co-workers that they kind of didn't like but they had to bear with. So that was really the case. So honestly, it felt intense at the moment, but after the episode, it didn't really, you know, cause any drastic shift in the story at all, in my opinion. But of course, continuing on with the whole White Room scene and Cecil versus Mark. Looking back at it, did Cecil need to fear for his life against Mark? You let me know. Like, I get it that he's human and Mark is a Vulturite, and yes, he knows that Mark could probably twist his neck at any point in time if he felt like it. But at the same time, I felt like he pulled the trigger too fast and like revealing that he had like a secret weapon inside of Mark just in case he revolted against him. You know, like, Cecil probably truly has PTSD of his father almost taking over Earth, and I guess that fear, that chance, like, even if it's a small chance, the chance of Mark ending up like his father still pushes him to be rebellious against Mark if Mark, I guess, starts being rebellious to him. But back in episode 1 and even in episode 2, Mark didn't look like he was going to, you know, fight Cecil until Cecil started to attack him, honestly, right? Like, it didn't look like Mark was trying to be super aggressive and tell him like, stop this, or I'm gonna kill you, or stop this, or, you know. Well, I mean, maybe Cecil was like keeping in mind that probably if he didn't listen to Mark would probably just like find where they've been creating these soldiers and like destroy the whole lab. Maybe that's what he was thinking about. But I truly think Cecil could have talked to Mark more before deciding to release all his secrets against him, like all his kryptonite that he has to use against Mark, right? But now that I think about it, maybe since they showed Cecil's past, right, maybe he was thinking about his old self, like his younger self, what his younger self would have done if he was telling his boss, right, that he doesn't like this and he should like get rid of this idea, this plan, you know, this immoral thing. And because himself would have probably been a little bit more aggressive, he assumed Mark would have been a lot more aggressive about it. So it could have been just from his own experience and what he'd done. Alright, next, Oliver. This episode was the first time I really saw a glimpse of Oliver's mindset. It was very subtle. subtle. Not really, it wasn't really that subtle.
I told Cecil if he goes near you or Oliver or anyone else I care about, I kill him.
Well, why didn't you kill him already? Then you wouldn't have to worry.
Oliver!
But you just said you'd kill Cecil if
I had to make sure he took me seriously.
But this mindset, this first showcase of the way he thinks basically carries on throughout the episodes. And truly what leads to basically the big events that happen in episode 3. So let's talk about that. Oh, last thing, of course, Mark and Eve got together, blah blah blah. But yeah, let's talk about episode 3. Episode 2, I'm gonna keep it at B tier for now, and I'm probably gonna move it later on. That's probably gonna be the game plan. Actually, I might move it to A now that I think about it. How much did I truly enjoy the episode? Yeah, let's move it to B tier for now, and let's move episode 3 to A tier. Now honestly, you guys gotta let me know if there was like a deeper meaning, like some layers, some depth into what was the purpose of the beginning of the episode, with like no dialogue and just showcasing villains doing their thing, showcasing their life before of course Oliver ends up doing his first mission against them. I wonder what that was about, because they spent a decent amount of time, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, like showcasing these villains, and I just don't really understand why they did that. Truly, like I thought for a moment it was gonna be a lesson for Oliver. Maybe Oliver was gonna like kill them and it was gonna like teach a lesson about it, but I still don't understand at all why they spent a good amount of time with those villains in the first few minutes of the episode. But other than that, this was the Oliver episode. This is when we truly get to understand Oliver as a character, his foundations, his thought process, because this man ended the great run that the Maulers were having.
That's what happens when you're a bad guy.
They were like one of the only villains that were able to like survive for so long. I thought they were going to be in the show for seasons. Like I thought they was going to be in the show for so long that they're going to eventually be part of the fight against the Vulturites. But Oliver said, no, that's not how it's going to go. If you're bad, you should be dead. That's basically the mindset. And goddamn, Oliver has no hesitation. This is the killer instinct that Omni-Man wanted for Mark this whole time, his whole life. And Oliver was the one who was birthed with the killer instincts. I think I literally mentioned in my episode 3 review that like Oliver is literally more of a Vulturite than Mark ever could be. But of course, this led to the first conversation, the first big fight between Oliver and Mark, and of course not physically but verbally.
What? I stopped them, didn't I?
Sky, now!
Isn't it responsible to make sure that the bad guys never hurt anyone else?
Life is precious. We don't just take it.
It's not precious. People kill each other all the time, and most people aren't even special like us. They're just normal.
You sound just like Dad.
So? You act like you know everything, but do you ever think that maybe Dad was right?
Oliver's own words, we are special and others are not. The first sign of Oliver turning into their father, or at least his old version. Hopefully his old version. But I think that's truly what makes it A tier. The fact that there's long-term effects from this episode, especially with the character of Oliver. He's gonna be one of the more intriguing and interesting characters for the future of the seasons in Invincible. So having the episode focus on him and how he starts out is really intriguing, and I think that's really one of the main reasons why I put it as A tier, especially the way he handled himself in his first few missions and how that's gonna cause conflict on the ways Mark is gonna raise him as a brother and show them the way, I guess. You know, but then again, when I said show him the way, by the end of episode 8 is like, Oliver, you were right this whole time, never mind, I'm gonna follow your way now. But let's talk about episode 3. Mark was gonna show him the way of like what a hero was supposed to be like. Now we did have moments of Amber and Eve, you know, that was probably important at the time, but you know, it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things looking at the whole season. And then lastly, of course, we got the first sight of Astra leaving coming back, which we had no idea was him, but heck, episode 3 was the first sign of what was gonna happen in episode 7. So yeah, definitely A tier. Now episode 4 was literally testing Mark's morality. That's literally what the episode was. Like, episode 8 was the nail in the coffin, like GG's to all his principles, his morality, everything. But episode 4 was the beginning of the show trying to like play around with his values and what he believes in, because there's no way he just got put into a random side quest to go into the future in order to kill the future immortal. Like, that's insane.
What kind of man lets others die because he won't act? This is the only way. Please.
Enough! Thank you. That must have been hard. Don't thank me. Please don't thank me for that. It's what he wanted. So, that's not a reason to kill someone.
And we still don't understand like fully if there's more to the future and how the future impacts, you know, future seasons. Honestly, my theory, and I forgot which episode review video I like released this theory, but I think it was episode 7, I believe. But like, my theory is because the future Mark left Earth and stating that Immortal has to be the one to take care of Earth and he has to leave. So I'm assuming that is like hinting towards the past, where the current events of Mark is like showcasing the reasons why he had to leave Earth in the first place. Because honestly, after these last few episodes of the season, is like I could see where Mark is like, yeah, I gotta leave Earth. Most of the problems that happen on Earth is because of my existence alone. So if I leave Earth, basically everyone will be safe for the most part. Obviously, he ended up being wrong in the future, which is probably another reason why they showed him going into the future to, I guess, showcase that him leaving Earth is probably not the answer as well. But yeah, that's my little theory, my little thoughts. And because, you know, just to have them send Mark on this side quest to go into the future to kill Immortal is like it's like I can't really think of it as like them doing it just for the sake of it, right? They gotta be more to it that impacts like future seasons, right? Honestly, you know what would have been interesting? Sidetrack, I'm sorry. It would have been interesting when in episode 7, when they had the multiverses of Marks and everything, if they had, wait, actually that wouldn't work, right? Because when they showcased Mark going into the future, that's the future Mark of the same universe. So it wouldn't be the case where actually we could like pull the Mark from the future that current Mark visited, you know, and have him appear in episode 7. You're right. I think that's the reason why. I think that's the case. But continuing on with the whole future stuff, I think part of the reason why King Immortal was evil was because of the fact that he was forced out of retirement. Because of course, remember back in episode 7, he decided to retire, you know, live his life with Kate and just move on. But I'm assuming since Mark forced him out of retirement and he lived long past Kate, that's kind of what caused the madness and drive him insane, because of all the responsibility without him even wanting this in the first place. But now let's move on to the best part of these episodes. Alan, the best character in the show, or at least top 3. This man, I thought he was a 5-star recruit because I thought he recruited Battle Beast.
Who possesses the courage to dare free Battle Beast? Viltrumites?
Oh man, yes. We definitely got them.
Fair game. This term pleases me.
For the team, maybe Battle Beast could still appear on Earth when they go against the Viltrumites. That's still a shot. But the fact that they were able to like go against those 2 Viltrumites and there was so much information revealed about the Viltrumites and the future of the war.
No one's coming. What? We don't need to worry. No reinforcements are coming. There are fewer than 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the universe. This is the Empire's most closely guarded secret. It's also why we can beat them.
This is really what like saved the episode. I wouldn't say save, but that's what really made the episode truly intriguing. Which of course, why I'm sad that they made it like basically the final episode. Not basically, it literally is the final episode that we see in Nolan and Alan. Even though I felt like they should have probably appeared in episode 7 and episode 8 when they were needed the most. But yeah, in this episode we learned that Nolan obviously is experiencing character growth and character development, and he cares about Alan. They formed an alliance and truly build a connection and truly build a bond.
I'm so special.
Stop! No!
Sorry I ruined your execution, Nolan. Looks like I'm going first. Get away from him! For someone who almost died, you recovered very quickly.
Yes, I did, all thanks to you, buddy. Okay, maybe I let him work me over a little more than I had to.
He could have killed you.
Oh, I know. You needed the motivation.
No Viltrumite would do such a thing for another.
I mean, you would for Debbie and Mark and that purple kid you told me about. And for me, apparently, just now. Because you did.
But nevertheless, it was revealed that in this episode, there are less than 50 full-blooded Viltrumites in the Empire that's left. And that's why there haven't really been full force attacking and going through wars. Which was great news. Like, it was like very surprising to hear, especially when I first reacted to this episode. And I was like, damn, they really got a chance. They got a shot then, if that's the case. But then I gotta do a disclaimer. But then after seeing what like 17 Marks did against Earth, and especially what Conquest did by himself against Earth, I'm like, yeah, like they only need truly like 10 to 15 full-blooded Viltrumites and they basically got Earth covered. Like they really don't need all of them to take over Earth. Like, and I'm thinking even if they had Alan and Omni-Man, it would still probably only take at most 20. Like I don't see them stopping 20 Viltrumites. Truly, especially seeing what happened in episode 7 and episode 8. Yeah, there's no goddamn way. So I'll say episode 4 was A tier, and that's really because of the whole Alan and Nolan part. Like that's really what made it A tier for me. I really liked their dynamics, and I really liked the information that was revealed, especially since this is information that's gonna affect future seasons. Definitely an A tier episode for me. Okay, episode 5. C tier. Honestly, this has to be the worst episode of the season. Like comparing to the other episodes of the season, this got to be the worst episode of the season. And no, it's not because it barely focused on Mark and what he was doing and it was focusing a lot on other characters. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. Maybe that is part of the reason, right? But let me go through the episode and break it down to you why it's C tier. So one thing I could say about this episode is this episode made me realize that Mark has low IQ.
I'm taking you to jail.
Nah. But thanks for the help, hero. Doing good even if you didn't mean to.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Like, it really made me question his battle IQ, truthfully. Or maybe he just up against people who are having genius IQs when it comes to battle tactics and stuff like that. Because he still looks like a fraud when it comes to the whole battle against the dragon. But not only that, it's not even just that. It's the fact that he was able to like be manipulated. Like Titan was able to basically drag him into his own problems and was able to just use Mark as a tool to help solve his problems. And yes, I think towards the end it was stated that like Titan is like a genius when it comes to this stuff. Like,
nice job. The way you played me and Liu, pure genius. Mwah!
Battle IQ and things like that. But it low-key for me exposed Mark and his battle sense and IQ, because he was literally lost the whole time. Like even towards the end he was so confused on what was going on and he didn't know what was happening. Like he couldn't explain what was happening that whole episode for real. But yeah, there's really not much to talk about in this episode. They really just show Kate and her brother, their past, Paul being in jail and then escaping. Of course, they talked about how Oliver hanging out with friends and showcasing more of Oliver's potential and who he's gonna be as a person.
You gotta do it without using your powers. Okay. No flying. Promise. Ready? That was hard. But I almost did it. I'm gonna do it again.
It's past your bedtime.
Nuh-uh. We were here first. We're not leaving. You leave.
I said, get lost!
Oliver can take care of himself.
It's not him I'm worried about.
What the fuck?
He's a good kid, Mark.
Confident, high self-esteem, daredevil, willing to take more risk. I could definitely see all those traits in Oliver, and it's just showing more and more in this episode, and also continuing moving forward with the other episodes. But other than that, like, they really focused a lot on other characters in this episode. Like, of course, we learned Titan is a family man and how much he does for his family, regardless, good or bad. All he really wants is to protect his family and do what's good, or what's best for his family, I should say. And of course, last but not least, Rex the romantic, which this side we barely get to see out of him, but at least we were able to see all of that before episode 7, of course. But all in all, out of the other episodes, like, this was less serious in a sense in comparison to everything else that happened in the previous episodes, as well as the episodes that happened moving further. So like, that's the main reason why I C tier for the most part, because honestly, you could probably take this episode out of the season and it probably wouldn't change much of the flow of the season at all, I should say. Maybe not. Maybe you have a different opinion on that, but that's really my opinion on episode 5 for the most part. It's just okay. It's not terrible, of course. Like, it still was entertaining to watch, but in comparison, of course, this is C tier, and something has to go below B, right? Like, I can't put everything on B and A. Yeah, maybe I could have, but let's just put something at C, I guess. But yeah, let's just move on. Episode 6, the Powerplex episode. Now, I did a deep dive video on like Powerplex and his mentality and everything, his character, why he is the way he is, what creates a villain, like the circumstances and everything that happened. Like, Powerplex is literally the definition of how villains are born. Like, literally, they're just showcasing how regular humans can become crash outs at any moment, at any point in time.
I've been calling your office about the Invincible case. I sent you the petition my wife and I did. We've gathered over 3,000 signatures. If you could just look, it feels like their deaths don't matter. Where's the investigation? Okay, the charges, the trial.
Invincible was defending the planet from an alien threat.
If he's so innocent, then open an investigation. Let a jury decide. Give us justice.
I'm very sorry for your loss, but there's nothing I can do. Our laws don't apply in situations like this.
But the main thing I liked about this episode is the fact that we able to see like the aftermath of the Mark versus Nolan fight. That's what I really enjoy, like how it affected normal people, especially with the whole memorial and seeing the service and Mark attending and seeing all the names that died during their battle. And then of course now he's able to realize that there's bigger consequences that you yourself don't even realize can happen when you're having big battles like this, especially that you're able to create your own villain, your own nemesis out of this without even realizing. I think this episode really taught a lot of lessons to Mark, which I hope he continues learning and remembering for future battles. Of course, it didn't help his case in episode 8. It looked like it was the same result and literally the same thing happened as his fight with his father. But for the most part, it's great to see that there's consequences, there's greater effects to your actions than heroes realize, and especially Mark growing as a hero, him to realize that even if he's invincible, everyone around him is not. So that's what I really like about this episode for the most part, and why I like Powerplex as a character, like his existence, not how he acts, like not his victim mentality. Because the one thing I could criticize about Powerplex is he was so obsessed with seeking justice against Invincible that he failed to see what he already had. Like,
here I am. Jessica Duvall. Do you know that name? How about Gretchen Duvall? I know they were your sister and niece, Scott. I know this is where they lived. And I know they were killed in Chicago along with so many other people when my dad and I fought here. I can't imagine what you went through. or the pain you're feeling. And for that, I'm so sorry. But hurting other people won't bring your sister and niece back.
You don't get to lecture me about hurting people. For the pain you've caused, for the lives you've taken, for everything you've done! This is all your fault!
His wife was really running plays. Like, she was really the coach, the point guard. She had the whole playbook of what he should be doing next. And yet her and her son, or their son I should say, end up dying because of his obsession, because of his mistakes. And all he could do was just blame Invincible for that. So obviously I don't like Powerplex as a character, but I like what he represents, if you get the difference. Now, like I was saying earlier, like I would like to see Mark learn the lesson from this episode, but it's like now I'm wondering what is the aftermath of the Conquest versus Mark fight, because honestly that is maybe almost the same level of devastation as the Nolan versus Mark fight, right? And it's not even the fact that, and honestly what makes it worse is the fact that it's happened an episode right after the world go against all those marks, all those invincibles, all at the same time, right? And in the next episode Viltrumite shows up and does more damage. So honestly, there's supposed to be a lot more consequences, a lot more that's happening based on the aftermath of those two battles than what happened between Omni-Man and Mark, truthfully. So I'm curious to see what lessons he learns over there, or if they showcase anything based on those two fights. Another thing that happened in this episode is that they were able to reveal Mark and Oliver's current thoughts on their father. Like, who is the real Nolan? And that's an interesting question, because of course they don't see Omni-Man and his changes with Alan, and we would like to believe that Omni-Man is more of a family man now. He made that major statement that he misses his wife. He seems like he cares more about people, even people that are not part of his bloodline. But we'll see. Like, we'll really see in the next season, has Omni-Man truly shifted? Has he truly changed? Will Mark forgive him? That's the real question. Will Mark forgive him if he showcase that change? Of course, maybe Alan will be playing a role in terms of helping Mark and his father fix their relationship. That's probably going to be the case, but it would be hard for planet Earth to really accept Omni-Man again as one of their saviors, one of their heroes. That's something I never really thought of until now, honestly. So it's great to really see their conversation, their current thoughts on their father. And it's also great to know that Mark still loves his father, and he understands that he has his good side and he has his bad side. But I wonder which one holds stronger for him. Does he see his father more in a bad light, or still see him in a pretty good light? I'll say he's leaning towards bad, just because of how things ended on Earth, even though he saw a bit of change when he visited that planet and met his brother. But still, we have to remember what happened on Earth when Omni-Man left was traumatic. That was literally trauma for Mark, so that's a tough one. And lastly, Mark and Amber, I'm just glad they had no drama for the most part, for real. That's really what I'm glad about, because honestly, Mark doesn't need that right now. He's already got too much going on. He always has so much going on, but I'm glad he could at least have a moment of like being around his ex and not having any awkwardness. That's one of the only great things I could say that's going for Mark in this episode, or I should say in this season. But in my original reaction video to this episode, I really thought this conflict with Powerplex would cause Mark to like lock in and make sure he's aware of the damages of his battles, but and how it affects people. But like, of course, after seeing the end credits, obviously we learn from episode 7 and episode 8 that is not the case. Saving the best for last, the end credits. What the hell am I looking at? What the hell is going on here?
This will do.
This is basically the Viltrumite invasion trial run. Like, that's basically what it is. This is the free trial to the invasion. I wonder what the storyline is, what the plot is to this. They better explain it in the next episode and not just have them invade. I need a full-on explanation how this is happening and how that's even possible. Like, I know he could time travel to like different multiverses. That's a time travel, but he could like put up portals into different multiverses, I guess. How the hell did he convince all these marks to go against this mark? we don't know. So at least we know next episode is gonna be a serious episode for sure. And this looks like an episode where Omni-Man and Alan are needed to appear on Earth, honestly. But yeah, you let me know your thoughts on this episode. I'm really was just trying to wrap my head around Powerplex and his inner psyche, basically, you know, and how this will influence and impact Mark as a character. Because truly, I don't know what Mark could have done better for Powerplex, and that's something Mark needs to learn. He needs to learn Talk No Jutsu. He needs it in his arsenal. If he wants to be a type of character that doesn't kill, he needs Talk No Jutsu. It's just mandatory. So yeah, you let me know your thoughts about this episode, what your predictions are for the next episode. Let's have a discussion in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. So episode 6, I will say I would give it A at least, like, because it has long-term impact with characters. Of course, Powerplex comes back in episode 7, which is great to see. I don't know, should I put this in S tier? What do you guys think? I think I might keep it at A, truthfully. Like, spoiler alert, I think really the S tier episodes might be 7 and 8, and I think everything else is just a tier below it, truthfully, right? Would you agree? Maybe episode 2 or no, maybe episode 3 is S tier as well. Like episode 3 was a defining moment for Oliver. Yeah, I think I might keep it as A tier just because of that whole beginning of the episode was like a little confusing. But episode 7 though, we definitely pushing that to S tier. And you already know why. I probably don't even have to go through an explanation of why this episode is S tier for real. Let's be honest, this is the episode that broke Mark. I don't know which one broke Mark more, episode 8 or episode 7. You let me know in the comment section. But there's so much that went on in this episode, like literally going against an invasion of different versions of yourselves. Finding out that Astroleve is still alive.
I killed you! No, you didn't!
Still dealing with Powerplex, proving he was right.
You! How dare you show your face here! How much death do you need? What's wrong with all of you? He caused this! Every dead body you find is a person he killed. This is all Invincible's fault!
And then also seeing E being taken out by a version of himself is insane. Wait, hold on. I forgot the fact that he has to rely on Cecil for help. Like, he had to beg for Cecil. Like, in these last 2 episodes for help. Even though they're ops, they're enemies now. Like, too much was going on, honestly. Rex's death happened.
If you're worried you're gonna bleed to death before I kill you, you're dumber than even the Rex from my world.
But I'm the idiot who took you with me. I've got one thing left.
And what's that?
My entire goddamn skeleton, dickhead.
Man, that was crazy. I wasn't even expecting that to, like, for a moment, like, you could see in my review video that I was thinking, like, man, Rex is gonna come back, because there's no way they just take him out like that. And there's no way they have, like, a version of Mark take out Rex. Like, that's insane. Like, one thing we learned from this episode is that Oliver needs puberty, like, ASAP, like, right now. Like, that's what we learned in these last 2 episodes. Like, Oliver needs puberty right here, right now, if they want to have a chance against the Viltrumites. And just like how I mentioned it in my episode 7 review video, this episode was literally like the demo, like the free trial, like the practice against the Viltrumites and their evasion. Like, this was basically it. Like, because what was it, like 15, 17 marks or so? This is basically stating if they bring out like 20 Viltrumites, like, yes, there's like probably 50 left in the world, but like if they just bring out 10 of them, right, it's still gonna do crazy damage. Like, honestly, I don't see how, if they can't stop 15 marks, and it seems like all the marks were weaker than the current mark, right? If they can't stop them, then imagine Viltrumites and some of them actually being stronger than Mark. How are they gonna face them? So honestly, it was a prelude to what's to come in the future. And then the real prelude came around. Conquest showing up at the end of the episode.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
You don't understand. All this
This is my fault. So the only thing I want to do right now is hit something as hard as I can.
Which is overkill. Like literally I found that overkill. I've never said this for like any character or any show, or maybe hardly ever I should say, but like this felt like a GG moment when Conquest showed up. Like seriously, Earth didn't get time to breathe for real. Like they just got out of an invasion basically, and yet they had to go against Conquest and deal with more damage. Like when Conquest showed up, this is when I knew that the writers had true hatred for their protagonist. Like honestly, truthfully, like that's truly what was going on. Just there's no other explanation. Like there's no other reason for Conquest to show up right then and there, like after their battle, and Mark still being broken. Like come on now. Now with episode 8, this is what really had me thinking, like, you know, all that training to still not stand a chance. That's literally the first thing that came to mind. Like yes, Conquest might be one of the strongest Viltrumites, I'm assuming. Like hopefully he's like top 3, like I hope, for Mark's sake. But it's like, man, seeing all the fights and all the events from this season had me thinking, right, like if Mark has never went through this training in episode 1, right, he probably would be dead a long time ago. Maybe he would have died in episode 7 or something, like, right? Like there's no way that they hyped up his training arc just for him to still feel like he doesn't stand a chance against Viltrumites. So like I said earlier, I believe Conquest is one of the strongest ones out of the whole like Viltrumite empire, so I hope that's why it looked like Mark almost didn't stand a chance at all. But continuing talking about the episode, I presented this theory, right? Because these events happen back to back, episode 7 and episode 8. And I believe that these two events is connected to episode, I believe it was 4. That was the episode when Mark went to the future, right? I believe they're all connected, and here's why. It was explained that the future Mark left the responsibilities of Earth to Immortal, and he had to leave Earth. And I think these events is part of the reason why he had to leave Earth, honestly. Because it's like the Goku effect. If you know about Goku and after the Cell games, him realizing that like 80% or 90% of the Earth's problems is because of his own existence and attracting all the villains there. I feel like Mark is going to reach that same conclusion, and that's what makes him leave Earth in the future. I feel like I'm onto something. I hope I am. Hopefully they explore more about the future and it's just not like a one-off thing. But back to the episode, back to the actual battle. God damn. When is Oliver gonna turn 18? Like in 2 months, 3 months? The sooner the better. One thing I gotta say about Oliver, despite how bad he gets beaten up, he never loses his confidence at all. And that's one thing I gotta commend him for. He has too much self-esteem, honestly. Like I thought him going against Conquest was gonna humble him.
And you are.
But nah, like nothing could waver this kid, honestly. Like I don't see it. I don't know what it will take to like destroy his confidence and have him not believe in himself. But the fact that he was able to pull through, I don't know, maybe he's just so delusional. But despite like being so useless and almost got himself killed against Conquest, I will have to say Oliver definitely, once he's 18, once he's able to reach his potential, I think his potential realistically should be greater than Mark, because Mark has a habit of holding back, and if Oliver doesn't have that habit at all, then he honestly should have a higher potential just from his self-belief alone. But currently he got destroyed in this episode, so moving on from that, this episode, it was like literally the episode, because I think I first mentioned in episode 7 that like, yes, they need Nolan and Alan to like show up right here, right now. But episode 8 was when I was like, yo, where you at? Like, where's Alan? Where's Omni-Man? They need to show up right now. Like, where are they? And like I said earlier, episode 8 and episode 7 truly made me realize that the writers are the true antagonists that Mark has to face. Like, seriously, seriously, if he's able to break the fourth wall and go against his own writers, like he needs to do it, because this show does not care about his feelings at all. Seriously, not only did they give him no help with Alan and Nolan, like no surprise appearance with them at all, they made him watch his girlfriend not just get injured from the last episode, but potentially almost died in the following episode afterwards. Like, come on, man.
Such a waste.
No!
But speaking of Eve, like Eve basically was the scapegoat. She kind of bailed out Mark, honestly. Like she did majority of the damage, it seems like, to Conquest.
Jerk.
That really gave Mark the edge, the advantage to finish him off. But based on the scene, a certain scene I saw in the episode, it seems like Eve's powers might be a problem. Like I seen something with like Mark's suit or something. I don't know, maybe I'm just nitpicking, maybe it's no big deal. But it could potentially be a problem, like it could be unstable. That's all I'm saying. And another thing we've seen is that Mark abandoned his morals for the most part. Like he's ready to kill somebody. He's really ready for somebody to test his gangster. Like, oh, you want to mess with me now? Okay, you're dead. Like, I'm for real this time.
You were right about the Maulers. You were right about Angstrom. They hurt so many people, ruined so many lives. Angstrom almost killed you and Mom even. So if anyone else ever puts my family or anyone I love at risk, I won't hesitate to kill them.
So I'm curious to see how that's gonna play out in the next season, especially if anyone even like looks at his family. You know what I'm saying? It looks like Mark is ready to just, you know, make sure no one even breathes or even in the vicinity of his family. Because they showed some interesting things at the end of the episode. They show like the little Martian invasion, like some interesting stuff that like some more conflict incoming for season 4, it seems like. Some stuff I really don't understand. Like the whole like demon thing that was going on, which had me thinking about like the detective, right? The demon detective. I wonder if he's gonna come back. I wonder what happened to him. But yeah, it was just like the end credits was like showcasing more to come, like more conflict. And honestly, I think next season should be the preparation for the Viltrumite invasion. I think is basically almost that time, and I think next season is when Oliver should be growing up at this point, right? But overall, this episode, you already see this already at S tier. Like you, honestly, in the last episodes, you didn't really need me to explain why it's S tier for real. Like, truthfully, you should know why. But overall, for the season, it was a very solid season. What would you give the season out of 10? I would probably give it an 8 at least. An 8 out of 10. Like, they had really good episodes for the most part. Like, I'll put at least 5 episodes that were A and above. Like, that's really good, especially when it was only 8 episodes, right? Like, only 3 of them I put as like, okay, I shouldn't say 3, so I put 2 that was like average at best. I shouldn't say average at best. These 2 were also really good episodes, the ones that are in B tier. It was just that since I'm comparing it to the other episodes, that's really the only reason why it's B tier for the most part. Heck, even the C tier episode is really because I'm comparing to the other episodes, like I'm saying. So yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10 for the season. You let me know your rating for the season as a whole. Do you agree with my tier list? Do you agree on which episodes on which tier? What would be your tier list for the episodes for Invincible season 3? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's have a discussion. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.